And we are recording.
We're recording. And we're streaming. Hey, everybody. Thank you once again for streaming Rerun It Back. Reflections on the 3-channel era. I am Jack.
And I'm Scott.
And Happy New Year, everybody. This is, the time of year when things just are not terribly great. The holidays are over. We all ate too much. And worst of all, the NFL season is over. For those of us who are following teams that are not in the playoffs. And, Scott, I'm feeling a little bit of a Jones to watch some sports.
Well, yeah, I mean, your team is gone. I'm still rooting for the Houston Texans, I guess, because I'm in Texas. But yeah, it's winding down, and I'm feeling the void.
It's a big void for sure. And so I thought for this first episode of 2026, we would dive in to a historic competition from nearly 50 years ago. And you know what? I'm just going to let our friend Howard Cosell take it from here.
Forget, if you will, the Olympic Games, Monday Night Football, championship fights. Conjure instead with the notion of Wonder Woman on the obstacle course. Kojak anchoring the tug-of-war. Farrah Fawcett Majors trying to be Sandra Palmer. Jimmy Walker spiking it for the point in volleyball. Barbara Parkins moving from captains and the Kings to crash helmet and bicycle. Damon Wilson essaying the role of Jack Nicklaus. Adrienne Barbeau of Maud meeting every physical challenge. Yes, it's the most unique sports competition in history. The stars of primetime television vying for almost $400,000 and pride and self-respect. We call it the Battle of the Network Stars.
Yes, everybody. Today we are going to examine Battle of the Network Stars. This is a show that ran between 1976 and 1988. And tonight, I guess we're recording this at night. But tonight, is it tonight? Is it today?
For today's
already gone
for today's podcast.
Tonight's
or tomorrow
podcast,
if you're over the international dateline, whatever.
Podcast.
It exists out there, and it exists in the internet where time is completely plastic. But you're right.
Oh my God!
It is the new year.
Time's a circle.
And I agree. It is time to look back on what was, by today's standards, Jack. I got to admit that even though I remember watching these as a kid and enjoying them, I not only cannot. From today's perspective, these are absolutely absurd. And also, I had no idea that it lasted until the late 80s.
Yes, it did. There were a total of 19 of these competitions that were held between 1976 and 1988. And in this podcast, we are going to examine the very first one, which aired November 13th, 1976 on ABC television. So here, first of all, you're probably wondering, so who are these network stars? Once again, I'm going to let our friend Howard Cosell explain who is on every single team.
The Battle of the Network Stars is a team competition. So, let's meet the teams. For ABC, the captain of the team, Gabe Kaplan. Welcome back, Cotter. Darlene Carr, Streets of San Francisco. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. Farrah Fawcett Majors, one of Charlie's Angels. Dick Hatch, Streets of San Francisco. Bobby Hedges, Welcome Back, Cotter. Ron Howard, Happy Days. Al Linden, Barney Miller. And Penny Marshall, Laverne and Shirley. John Shuck, Holmes and Yo-Yo. The CBS team, headed up by Telly Savalas, none other than Kojak. Adrian Barbeau of Maude, Gary Berghoff, MASH, Kevin Dobson, Kojak, Pat Harrington, One Day at a Time, Bill Macy, Maude, Lee Merriweather, Barnaby Jones, Mackenzie Phillips, One Day at a Time, and Loretta Swit of MASH. Jimmy Walker, Good Time. And now the NBC team, the captain, Robert Conrad, Baba Black Sheep. Melissa Sue Anderson, Little House on the Prairie. Karen Grassley, her mother on the same show. Tim Matheson, The Quest. Ben Murphy, Gemini Man. Barbara Parkins, Captains and the Kings. Joanna Pettit, Captains and the Kings. Kevin Tye, Emergency. Bobby Troop, Emergency. Damon Wilson, Sanford and Son.
That is an impressive lineup, Scott.
It is a very impressive lineup, although I got to admit, I have no knowledge of some of these people and the TV shows they were on.
Yeah, some of them were pretty limited. I mean, as far as the episodes that they were on, I mean, there are some big names.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, Telly Savalas, come on.
Telly Savalas, who I'll just tell you right now, I have nothing bad to say about Telly Savalas. I got nothing bad to say about him. But I want to go into its genesis. This was created right about the time that one Fred Silverman was the president of ABC Entertainment. Now, Fred Silverman, he got around. He had he has some accomplishments for sure. He was responsible for bringing Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? To the television.
I love the man already.
Yeah, All in the Family, The Waltons, Charlie's Angels. That was obviously while he was with ABC. But he kind of bounced around. Per Wikipedia, Time magazine declared him the man with the golden gut in 1977 because he seemed to be in sort of, I guess, he could understand what the audience wanted. And in this particular instance, he felt like that we should see a lot of celebrities doing really weird the vibe of this show, Scott, it's kind of like a corporate picnic that you really don't want to go to on a Saturday. Like you had something really lined up that was super awesome for the weekend, and now we gotta go to this fucking corporate retreat in Malibu. No shade to Malibu. Malibu is awesome, but it basically is a corporate picnic. But here's the thing that sweetens the pot on this, is they said, okay, and you know how a lot of these celebrity competitions are going to be for charity, or generally they're all going to benefit a Make-A-Wish Foundation. No, fuck no. This is the 70s. I am in it for myself. So, from my research, third place, everybody who was on the third place team would get, I believe, like $10,000. These numbers have fluctuated per my research, but basically what I keep seeing is like about $10,000 for a third place team, $15,000 for a second place team. This is each participant, and $20,000 for whoever won it. So that was a big motivator. Another big motivator on this is that a lot of these celebrities, mind you, this is the 3-channel era. There's no internet. TV is still not really it doesn't have the cachet of a movie, movie stars or whatever.
But they had it was really weird because there was sort of this mix of like, I hesitate to say A-listers, but I mean, you had people like Telly Savalas or Jimmy Walker or Robert Conrad, or Penny Marshall, or Farrah Fawcett, who were, legit big names at that time. But then you had, people on like the B list, like say Adrian Barbeau, verging into the C list. You had Gary Berghoff of MASH. You had someone from some show I don't remember or something. There was like two women from Little House on the Prairie. Um, like it was weird. It was a strange mix of like, you know, big names and supporting characters. And you also could kind of tell this as you watched it without getting too far ahead, because like the big names like Penny Marshall or Telly Savalas got more camera time. And then there were other people like, poor Gary Berghoff. I mean, they even made fun of the guy, for saying, oh, well, this is like the most excitement he's had all week. Yeah, it was just really odd.
It's a strange thing. Now here, this is a quote. This is from Will Harris of the AV Club in 2017. He wrote an oral history on Battle of the Network Stars. And one of the people who agreed to take part of this is one Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. You might remember him as Freddie Boom Boom Washington from Welcome Back, Kotter. Quote, they were cross-promoting a lot of television shows in those days. So they'd have you come on the variety shows, which were big back then, or they'd have you to do game shows or whatever. Now, I remember that. I mean, like the Pyramid.
Hollywood Squares.
Like they would always...
The Match Game.
Hollywood Squares,
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, and with the Battle of the Network Stars thing, that way you got to see the stars outside of their makeup and characters doing their thing. Another thing to remember here is this predates reality television. So this kind of gave audiences an opportunity to see...
You got to see celebrities in their natural element. And again, not to go too far ahead, but at one point they bring Dr. Joyce Brothers on the set to basically to psychoanalyze the audience. And she's like, oh, it's wonderful. Everyone, they just love seeing their favorite stars, just having fun. And isn't this wonderful? But yeah, I mean, it was like a corporate event sort of. It's like, hey, let's do this like a giant field day or a sort of faux Olympics or something like that. And let's put TV stars in it and we'll divide them up between the three networks.
But really, as this idea of putting celebrities into a corporate picnic and having, what amounts to sack and three-legged races. One of the producers on this, after Fred Silverman, who kind of greenlit this thing, is Vin DeBona. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he went on to produce MacGyver and even America's Funniest Home Videos. So he was working on this thing, and he said, quote, all the stars wanted to do it because there was a rivalry. They really wanted to outdo themselves. I think it was because of the money, because they reportedly recorded these things over 2 days, a Saturday and a Sunday. Now, mind you, some of these people...
They're working actors.
And sure, it's one thing if you're driving to the Warner lot. It's another thing if you got to drive out to fucking Malibu for the weekend. Not a terrible way to spend the weekend, but the second day of these things, that was the real hardcore stuff. Whereas like the baseball throw or something like that was for day one. So day two was way more
demanding.
Right. Okay. So here's another supervising producer telling Will Harris of the AV Club. This is Bill Garnett. He has a lot of great quotes in this. It was sort of a spin-off of The Superstars. Now, this show was pitted professional athletes against each other in, if like a baseball player and football player, then they'd have them run a race or an obstacle course. So it was like, O.J. Simpson, I believe he might have appeared on that. So you draw your own conclusions there as far as what was going on. So, but now, when we were initially talking about this guy, you said you had watched this.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you remember about it? What do you remember?
I don't remember anything specific. I cannot, for example, tell you that I recall, say, the swimming relay in 1976 or anything. But I remember watching this and just being kind of fascinated by seeing all of these people that I saw on all of these different TV shows, all in the same place, doing very non-TV show things. And, it just, for a child, who's like 6 or 8 years old, who, just the notion of celebrity is kind of, ooh, famous people on the TV and they're doing things. It was just kind of novel. And it really is. I mean, again, it's like I cannot for the life of me imagine today anything like this ever happening. But so here we are, and it's the we have Telly Savalas and Robert Conrad and Gabe Kaplan are the captains of these teams.
The only memory I have of this, real talk, is when they had, now that was not in this first episode, they later did a kayak race in a swimming pool.
Nice.
And I don't know why. Now, I think that and maybe the obstacle course. Now, this one, I was 5 years old at the time. I don't know if I watched it. I know I did watch some other ones later.
Yeah, I can't say that I recall this one. I would have been 4 years old in 1976.
It's very old.
It's very old, but there are later episodes. So yes, at some point I watched one of these or more than one of them and thought, well, this is just the greatest thing since the Olympics or something.
So this thing begins, we're going to do a little recap here. This begins with
it doesn't begin like a sporting event would begin. The setup is, in fact, I wondered if actually I was watching the correct thing, because it starts off, if you allow me to describe this. So it doesn't go. It doesn't start off like, with titles and credits and even like, you would expect like, say the intro to ABC's Wide World of Sports, where there would be a montage of things and the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. No, it opens up with if I remember correctly, a close-up of a telephone at the side of a pool, and it rings, and Telly Savalas, who is in the pool wearing gold chains and sunglasses and maybe smoking a cigarette, I don't know, picks up the phone, and it's like, position like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to get them. They're going down.
No, make believe. We're going to bury them. Yeah.
And then it cuts to Robert Conrad, who is like sitting in a chair somewhere, and he is smoking a cigarette, and he has like a glass of white wine or something. And they're talking like it's almost like some sort of like police procedural or something like that. And they're all like plotting against some mysterious foe, and they're going to go down. We're going to get them.
Is that what you want done? Don't worry about it. They died. When? They died today.
Yes, I know. Mr. S., believe me, we will teach those bums a lesson they will never forget. Yes, Mr. S., I guarantee it.
And then all of a sudden, it cuts to bang. It's the Battle of the Network Stars, and there's this jaunty, wacky, animated intro with like soldiers who are calling troops that come scurrying out of each network's logo, and there's explosions, and because it's the bicentennial year, it's red, white, and blue, and it's a very long introduction, but yeah. Odd choice to introduce what was supposed to be a lighthearted celebrity sporting event. I guess it was to play up the rivalry, which we will later see unfold during a few of the events.
Yeah, and there is a big one that.
There's a big one.
There's a very, very big one.
There is a very big one.
So let's talk about the events. So there is a system to determine the winner of all of this. In the following events: swimming relay, running relay, tennis, golf, bicycle throw. No, but baseball.
Bicycle
throw. Baseball
that I would
throw.
Actually be really impressed by if they did do a bicycle throw. And the bicycle relay, unfortunately, gets very short shrift. No, it's the baseball throw, except it's not really a baseball throw as we come to learn now. It is a dunk tank
It's
event.
just a dunking tank
so
at
you
the
got
carnival.
So you got the baseball
tank.
throw, the bike relay. There's an obstacle course, volleyball, which we'll get to, was just
oh my
weird.
God, don't get me started.
And then the climactic event, which frankly, they could have just like eliminated like 85 of the 90 minutes with this. The tug of war.
Tug of war was great.
Because who doesn't love a tug of war?
They finished strong.
They finished
really
very strong.
So,
but
go ahead.
But we begin with the swimming relay.
And they start rather.
And this is
before we get into this, I know this is important, and I think the audience needs to know this, is that there's a certain amount of points that are allotted to each network team according to how well they did in the competition, and it's incredibly confusing, and I wasn't going to rewind it to watch it again because it's like, who gives a shit? No, I'm going to take this as seriously as they are.
Yeah, it's very strange, and there's like a very low-res computer-generated like bar chart of like the point accumulation between. I mean, for 76, obviously it was very sophisticated graphics, but by today's standards, it's like, okay. But yeah, so they have a convoluted point system, and winners and first and second, third place, whatever, and cumulative totals, and fine. Okay, they're keeping score somehow. On to the competition.
Well, let's start with, I feel like this is a good time to bring in Howard Cosell. Howard Cosell, who is considered just an icon in sports broadcasting. He was a big deal at Monday Night Football. He was just, he was one of these dudes who was very polarizing. He could say a lot of things that would upset people. And he used I guess you could say it was racist, a very racist term during a Monday night broadcast that kind of fucked over his career. But he was noted for his frequent exchanges with Muhammad Ali. He was just this straight man while Ali was doing his thing. And he would appear on ABC Sports all the time. So there were ABC Sports people kind of involved in this whole thing. And then all of a sudden, so we got Mark Spitz doing the color commentary on the swimming. So they dragged him out for this. And then all of a sudden they cut to Peter Lawford, Rat Packer Peter Lawford, and friend of the Kennedy family. Or is he in the Kennedy family? I don't know. Anyway,
it doesn't matter. But he was like the first. He was the first of a few, I guess, surprise celebrity appearances. But they were so randomly placed.
Here's the deal. And I mean, I don't know this, but I know this. Dude probably lived across the street from Pepperdine. The way that Malibu is laid out, PCH, you got Pepperdine up on a hill. And then, you go and there's just like these series of small doors with a driveway. It's like where Carson lived. It's like anybody who is famous, anybody who's got money, got a lot of homes in Malibu like that. So it's probably Peter Lawford. He's like, oh, what? Hal Linden's here? Oh, shit, I got to go see Hal Linden swim against Gabe Kaplan.
Yeah, let's not even... that swimming event.
Yeah, so this dude just kind of shows up. So they're having, and then, we got to do what we do because it's the Olympics. We got to personalize this. And so let's bring on one Rona Barrett, who was an entertainment reporter for ABC at the time, frequent contributor on Good Morning America, as I remember. And she does a little segment on Linda Carter. Tell me about that, Scott. What did you think of that?
Oh my goodness. So this was the first of several up close and personal portraits that Rona Barrett did. And it was very fawning, I guess. They were talking about how, she's not just a pretty face. She actually is really talented. And, she studied ballet and she's an actress and she does say, oh, and she's got a recording career she's starting to work on. That did not work out, which is why she stayed with Wonder Woman. But like they go into this whole thing about how her like a day in the life of Linda Carter, who gets up at 5 a.m. and then she goes to the studio and she practices gymnastics, and they show her like in a harness, like leaping and bouncing and things. And then when she gets done with that, she goes and she acts and whatever. And, so all of this and stuff. And that's why she's got a really nice toned body, unlike, say, Penny Marshall or, oh God. And then Cosell, who is just a lech to all of the women. I notice he doesn't refer to them as women. He always calls them girls, right? But at one point, like right after Rona Barrett finishes her thing on Linda Carter, Howard Cosell is like, that body, that face. And it's like, okay, I see where this is going. And then we get into, the swimming thing, and Mark Spitz is like, well, we really got to keep our expectations low. Some of these people may not finish it because, Telly Savalas was just smoking a pack of cigarettes and downing some scotch. And, then they talk about Penny Marshall having some weird breaststroke or I don't know what.
Yeah, they were really dogging Penny Marshall about the way she swims.
They were. Well, she's whatever. She hammed it up. But yeah, so then they introduce all the people. And, so yes, you have someone like Linda Carter, who was a very athletic and attractive woman. And then you have to see Hal Linden in a Speedo, which is just something nobody wants to see. It was bad. So they do this, and it's a relay, and that was it. But they weren't even like doing lengthwise on the pool. They were swimming like across the pool, the short distance, because apparently, none of the network stars were fit enough to actually swim like, an Olympic regulation size pool in an actual relay. So, they were kind of cheating from the get-go. But so they go this and they do it and the thing and they swim and you see more skin than you really want to. And that was the swimming thing. Enough said. And then they moved on to the running relay. And this is where it gets interesting.
Okay. Now, I'll just add to this. Mind you, this is 1976. This predates the fitness craze that has kind of just stayed since the 1980s.
There was basically Linda Carter looked fit, and there was also what's his name, Richard something or other, who was later in. I only remember him from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
thank you, Richard Hatch. But that man looked good.
Cosell kept calling him Dick Hatch, which is like, stop that. Now, and also
we're really losing the narrative here, Jack.
A lot of smoking too.
A lot of cigarette smoking. Telly Savalas always had a cigarette. Yeah.
So we got the running. Yeah. Running. It's kind of the thing. Now this is what we're going to spend a majority of a good measure of the show is the controversial 1976 Battle of the Network Stars running relay.
Yes.
Which was going fine.
Well, hang on. Before we get to that, before we have to talk. So to keep the celebrity appearances going, we had Mark Spitz commenting on the swimming, and then they get Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, in a Banlon shirt. Or something like that. And he is commenting on the running. And he also had to teach all of these celebrities how to actually hand off a baton and how to actually start properly in the track. So he's there and he's showing them how, he has 10 minutes to show people how to run a race.
That's an important detail.
That's a very important detail.
Remember this.
Yes. And so he shows everybody how to run a race, and then they start it, and bang, the gun goes off, and they start running the relay, and they make it to, I think, was it the final stretch or something of the race? The final handoff, and the NBC team bobbles it. They drop the baton, or they fall, or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. I'll explain what happened.
Okay.
So you had Ben Murphy, who was up next to get the get the thing, to get the baton. And there was an actress, I don't have her first name here, it was Pettit. I listened earlier, they did when I co-sell do the intros. Now, mind you, Ben Murphy, from watching this dude's a badass. This is the guy who would be a letterman in your high school. He's a very good athlete. Very good athlete. So you're supposed to start running from the starting line when the baton is handed to you. But what happened was Ben Murphy was backtracking. He was going farther back to get the baton earlier. So this actress, who I assume is not a very fast runner, compared with Ben Murphy, he can get the baton sooner, and then he can just like make up, whatever extra distance from that starting line. So there was actually somebody who was trying to keep this honest and to keep rules involved. And this is prior to, I don't think Vegas was wagering on this thing. I don't think Vegas gave a shit. I barely give a shit about this. But what happened at that point was it Gabe Kaplan, the captain of the ABC team, brought this up that, this is not, and even Telly Savalas, who was the captain.
Oh, Telly was not happy. Telly is there with his cigarette and his gold chains and his sunglasses, and he's like, "Nah, this is not good. This is cheating." And,
fucking Telly Savalas, man.
Telly,
awesome.
Telly is just doing his ultimate Telly. And, Gabe Kaplan's like, hey, okay, so this is what happened or whatever. And then Robert Conrad of NBC just fucking loses it.
Let's find Bob Conrad. Bob, let's...
It's not
fair.
These decisions being made before the race. Joanne Pettit was knocked down. We are amateur athletes.
But you knocked her
Wait
down,
a minute.
Bob.
We are amateur athletes. We were clearly ahead in this race. Now we are withdrawing, and we'll run it off with ABC. I love it. Right now, let's run it again with ABC. We'll tell you who the winner is, clearly. But you're not disqualifying us for a technicality.
We did not disqualify you, Bob. You're not disqualified.
Start the tug-of-war between ABC and CBS.
Bob, you haven't been disqualified.
I'm the captain of this team. We ran a damn good race.
You're right, you did, but you would have finished second had Ben...
Like hell. Like hell. Like hell. Like hell. That's it.
All right.
We're not changing.
Well, we really have an impasse here. Bob Conrad, obviously extremely serious, and Bob Conrad threatened. Yes,
And he is beaten. That's clear.
Bob, it's true. You won the race. You guys were the fastest runners, and if you ran it again, you would have won. But there was still an infraction.
There was an infraction because we changed the rules to accommodate CBS before the race started. We wanted dead starts. We wanted dead starts.
Then I think that...
Then you run it with us. If you're better than we are,
you're the fastest runners, but there was an infraction. That was...
Bob, I want to be very...
Kaplan, get his team out there and run it with us. We'll determine who the best team is. You're going for a little negotiation technicality. That's your captain. He lodged the protest. You and I want to run 100 to see who the fastest is?
Yes.
Let's go.
All right. Wow.
And this guy is like, oh my God, they cheated. And this guy, and it's like, okay, is he acting? No, apparently, like, he was really livid to the point where he starts to storm off and say he is going to withdraw the entire NBC team. CBS? I don't know. Whatever team he was the captain of, he's like, fuck it. I'm taking my toys and going home. And they're going to like, no, Bob, really, come on. It's fun. What? Come on. This is a game. And so they all get together and, you got Robert Conrad and Telly Savalas and Gabe Kaplan and Howard Cosell and onlookers and whatever. And Conrad is like, and this is just, I had to replay this because I was like, did he say this? Yes, he did. So he's like, okay, so first of all, Telly, he's Greek, he's a famous, like all Greeks, they're famous athletes and everything. Gabe Kaplan, he's Jewish. He wants to negotiate everything. I'm a German. I'm German, so I want to kill everybody. And I'm like, what
it was
fuck did he just, so this guy's making like a
70s
Holocaust joke?
I'm not excusing it.
And No, and let us not forget that just 4 years earlier, at the '72 Munich Olympics, the Israeli athletes were
Oh
massacred
my
by a
God,
bunch
you're
of Palestinian terrorists. Right? So
This
you know
is
this
4
is
years after
this
Munich.
is 4 years, and
Oh
you
my
got
God,
you have a pissed off Robert Conrad,
Jesus.
basically kind of implying that he wants to, like, I don't know, like, kill everybody because he's that mad. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can only imagine what would happen in this era of social media. But they're like, okay, so they calm him down just enough to say, no, okay, look, Bob, we got this. It's all fun and games. How about we do a runoff between Gabe Kaplan and you? And then that way we can kind of determine the way who's the winner of the race, and everybody's going to be happy. And so they do it, and Gabe Kaplan fucking smokes his ass on the track, and Robert Conrad's just kind of like, oh well, the best team or whatever. He basically has sour grapes, and he's like trying to play it off like, well, he may have won the race, but we're still the better team. And then just to tone it down even more, then they cut to Rona
Conrad
Barrett
was
again,
tightly wound.
Tightly wound is a yeah.
He was very tightly wound.
And so then they cut to Rona Barrett, and she's like, oh, I remember, a couple years ago, Bobby Conrad came over to my house because a mutual friend of ours had just died, and we spent 12 hours drinking coffee and crying and sharing memories. And I'm like, how do you spend 12 hours, with Robert Conrad doing anything, much less crying?
So here, this is Bill Garnett, one of the producers from this. Robert Conrad was incredible. This is, what did he tell? This is per the AV Club in 2017. Quote, when he would captain a team, he would actually get his team together the week before the show just to find out who could do what and who was good at what. He would work them. He would work them pretty hard. He wanted to win, but he was great. He was totally into it. He got into it, and he was incredibly competitive. That last sentence, I'm kind of like, yeah. He was totally into it for sure. And the problem was, because of this, per my research, he was threatening to pull the entire NBC team from this fucking corporate picnic.
Yeah, he was like ready to storm off the track because of this whole thing, and they had to drag him. And that, it just... yeah. It was...
So okay, so we're gonna race Gabe Kaplan. They race. He loses. He's now, as we have seen, the dude was packing a heater the whole time. He was constantly smoking. And then you contrast this to Gabe Kaplan, who shout out to Gabe Kaplan. Dude just seems super chill, super nice.
Just a very go along, get along sort of guy.
Very nice guy. And here's a fun fact about this race. And, I'm not trying to shame the man, but he had a bit of a bald spot. So he had this little sort of hairpiece situation. I don't know if it was a massive hairpiece, but he was wearing this thing. So as he would recount later, I think this is in a 2022 podcast, the Carson podcast, when he's kind of discussing this whole saga. He was trying not to run too fast because he didn't want the thing to fly off on camera, understandably. And Conrad would later say he was winning, he was ahead for 90 yards, but Gabe Kaplan, who ran track in high school and probably did not smoke, won just fine. Now,
which is really interesting considering the man had a huge white guy afro, which, really had like a lot of wind resistance built into it. Arguably. And he still smoked them.
Yeah, arguably, yeah. And this thing, the fallout from this thing is kind of amazing. Here is I'm going to try to pull some audio here, Scott, of and I hopefully I will be able to put it in here, of him discussing the aftermath of this on this podcast. But I'm not confident I'm going to be able to find it, so let me just pull up a transcript of this. Okay, I think we were both running like the third leg or the fourth leg, and then I noticed I had caught up to him a little bit, and I wasn't really running as fast as I could, because I say this in the article that I wore, I'm not sure which article he's referring to here, that I wore a hairpiece that nobody knew about. And I was a little bald on the front, and I had an augmentation of my hair to come up with the afro look that everybody knew. And everybody was sure that I was really... People still make jokes about guys with a lot of hair, and I'm the person they talk about. So I was like a little bald at the time, and I had this hairpiece. I was worried about the hairpiece, running with the hairpiece on, but I still noticed that I caught up to him a little bit, and that I was faster than him. And I felt more confident that I could run faster and not jeopardize a hairpiece. So when he challenged me, it was such a commotion. It was such bad feelings going on, and the network didn't know what to do, because he said he was going to pull his team out if they enforced this ruling regarding that runner with the baton pass. So he challenged me. I thought, okay, well, this is a way to get things settled. And also, I was pretty sure I could beat him. So I said, okay, let's do it. Gabe Kaplan, awesome dude. And to his credit, he wasn't happy he lost, but he said, now that's at least a fair race. Conrad would not speak to Kaplan after this. They never really had like a moment where, it's cool. Not for 42 years. Yes, Scott, I said 42 years.
That is one hell of a grudge.
Not on Kaplan's part, though. This is all Conrad, because later, Kaplan was guest hosting The Tonight Show. And a lot of these talk show segments, they're pretty pre-done. The associate producer or talent booker or whatever is going to do the interview. They get the questions, they refine it down, so that the exchange is very, lean
affable
and mean and good. And so he comes on, they do things, they make some reference to the race, but like Kaplan is later like, I wanted to just like, have a moment to connect with him after the taping and just, say, look, just no hard feelings. We're just, this is showbiz or whatever. And like Conrad just ghosted. And he was
he was a man who nursed a grudge. He knew how to nurse a grudge.
God. And finally in 2018 they met and and peace was at hand, and then Conrad died 2 years later.
Well, I mean, when you get to be that old, if you're still holding a grudge over like what happened in Battle Network Stars, Bobby, let it go, Bobby, let it go. Okay, and we got to keep going. So this was actually they move on to the tennis, right? But wait, they don't show the event. They just do a recap, like, and next the tennis.
It's the technical achievement.
And this team
Oscars.
wins. Yeah, technically, this team wins. And then they say, okay, on to golf. Except it's not really golf. It's basically like a glorified putt-putt golf course where they have built an improvised one-hole shot, whatever. I don't know. I don't play golf. So they basically have like one hole that they built like that week on some lawn at the Pepperdine campus. And it's basically who can get the ball closest to the hole, because no one's going to be getting an eagle here. Like suddenly this is where it gets weird. Like Goofy from, Disney, the Goofy character in like golf.
Why was he in the crowd?
Well, this was like the first of some very random things, right? So we have Goofy dressed up in his baggy golf pants and the hat, and he's just he just pops up randomly. But yeah, it's basically like celebrities. Like, look, they're practicing their best chip shots, and some of them do better than others, and Howard Cosell continues to refer to all the female athletes as girls. And in this one, they decide to hone in on Farrah Fawcett, then known as Farrah Fawcett Majors, because she was married to Lee Majors, star of The $6 Million Man, which, side note, was my favorite show as a child. Fucking loved that show. Had the $6 Million action figure for approximately 2 weeks after Christmas. Took it to show and tell for school, lost it, pissed off my parents. And then they decided they're going to get Rona Barrett there to do a profile on Farrah Fawcett. And they're talking all about how Farrah Fawcett is a very traditional woman, and because I guess she's from Texas or something, and she loves to get home from the taping of Charlie's Angels early so she can cook dinner for Lee Majors, and then they start asking her like, well, how does it feel to be a sex symbol that rivals the star power of your husband? And she's something, like, how, it's like, well, we don't really talk about that. And, I just want to be home for Lee and cook dinner and spend time with it. But like, tell us how sexy you are and all that stuff.
Is brain dead stuff. Anytime Rona Barrett was on, it was fucking brain dead. So she did a couple of these. Things. This is the thing. It's like, because the show is only like 2 hours long with commercials, they couldn't do these puff pieces about everything. So they did one on Linda Carter, Farrah Fawcett. I think they did
Robert Conrad. Yeah.
They did one on
Jimmy Walker, I think.
Yeah, Jimmy Walker was another one. They couldn't do them on all of them. And then they did the dude Crocker from Kojak, whose name and this is actually a good segue, because next was the baseball throw
/ dunk tank.
And oh my God, the baseball thing, it was Kevin Dobson is the actor I'm referring to, who played Crocker, sort of Kojak's sidekick. And during the baseball throw, which is essentially a dunking tank, Kevin Dobson throws the ball. It looks like in the mid 80s. I don't know if you saw it, like, judging from like the way other people
put some heat on that ball.
Oh my God.
He put some heat on that ball.
He was throwing, there was smoke on that thing. And at one point it hits the little ring and no one gets dunked.
Nobody gets dunked.
Thing. And the ball hits this thing multiple times. Repeat, multiple times. And no one goes in. They had people from other teams in, but like Kevin Dobson, like the times that he was throwing, it was like, it was visibly fast, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And the other thing that is I remember about this is so each of the networks had put one of their stars in the dunk tank, and the first one up is again Robert Conrad, who is still he's still on this adrenaline high from the relay race, and so he's like jumping around like some fucking maniac orangutan or something, and like taunting people and all this shit, and begging to be dunked, and no one dunks him. And then they get I don't remember who the guy is, a character actor, well-named, very portly fellow who mercifully leaves his shirt on, and he doesn't get dunked. But But the bench he sits on almost gives way because of his weight.
Yeah.
And then they get Jimmy Walker in there, and he's just like dynamite, and he doesn't get dunked. So and all while this is going on, you get a little color commentary from our next celebrity athlete appearance, Reggie Jackson, who doesn't do much. But yeah, so that was the baseball throw, and there's the audience is all in the bleachers, and they're like, lovely, this is great. It was very I think probably the most anticlimactic.
It was absolutely terrible.
The events, except only to be countered by the following event, which was the bicycle relay, which, like as with tennis, they're like, oh yeah, and then they race some bicycles.
More technical achievements.
More technical achievements. But then we get to the obstacle course.
Before we jump into the obstacle course, I have two notes. Number one,
Okay.
actor John Schuck from Holmes and Yo-Yo, which is one of the shows I remember as a child. He played a robot detective, and it was supposed to be funny.
God.
John Schuck, the poor man's Fred Gwynn. Look it up. If you know, you know. Secondly, the bicycle relay. The bicycle relay. The one reason that that this thing did not really catch on and that they didn't really use any footage of it is because they were doing it on a flat track. It wasn't on an inclined track that you might see in like among Olympic cyclists or whatever. And at one point, and I don't know, they didn't, obviously we didn't see it in this year's this 1976 edition of it, but in one during the 80s, Lorenzo Lamas went off the track. Did not get seriously injured, but he did get an owie. Lorenzo Lamas, a Falcon Crest, 80s sex symbol. And the other thing that I'm going to have to seek this out because this might be the funniest thing. They were doing tandem bicycle races.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So you've got maybe Lorenzo Lamas and Dallas's Charlene Tilton on I'm sorry. The visual is just way too much for me. So those are my two notes. You want to get into the obstacle course here?
Yeah. So, okay. So we go to, so we've gotten past the first day. Thank God. But okay. So the obstacle course, and this one is the celebrity is former Olympic gymnast Kathy Rigby, who I remember from doing Tampax commercials for some weird reason. I don't know why, but so it's an obstacle course. Like you start off and you like run through tires, and there's like a monkey bars and a rope swing and a wall. They still have these like Tough Mudder thing. It was the Tough Mudder of Battle of the Network Stars. But before they do this, before they get into it, and I don't know where this came from, again, random appearance by random characters, they have the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow from like some Wizard of Oz ripoff, like run through the obstacle course, and the Cowardly Lion is basically like this. It looks like I have seen Halloween costumes from like dollar stores that look better put together than this Cowardly Lion. And he's like on hands and knees crawling under it was really stupid. But, then they get into it, and Adrienne Barbeau, who I remember from a lot of great B movies like The Fog, and stuff like that, but got her start on stage in Greece, in Greece, which is weird. And then she was in Maude at the time, which I also don't remember. They interview her, and she's wearing this really strange white crocheted hat over her frizzy hair, and she whiffs the course big time. And then afterwards, Howard Cosell interviews her and whoever the other actress was that she was racing against, and he puts his arm around her and he hugs her very close to him. And she was like a good foot shorter than him, so she's like basically up to armpit level. And Cosell is just like talking over her to the other girl, and the whole time the look on Adrienne Barbeau's face is like, "Get your grubby paws off me, Cosell." Just it was creepy. And then, oh, hey, it's the Goodyear blimp, ladies and gentlemen, because this being the 70s, you could not have any sporting event without the Goodyear blimp, and it'll make a later appearance. But then, so you have just this series of athletes running the course. Penny Marshall, who did pretty well. Then Joyce Brothers makes an appearance with her helmet hair, and she's talking, she's psychoanalyzing the crowd and how lovely this is for them to see their celebrities.
Can I just jump in on something here? I want to jump in.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Dr. Joyce Brothers. She appeared in the 70s and 80s. She was like this ubiquitous.
She was everywhere.
Oh my God. This is before mental health was, I guess, as mainstream as it is now. I don't know if that.
Dr. Joyce Brothers was sort of.
Yeah, it was. Mental health was not what it was now.
It was pop psychology.
Pop psychology. I never understood her appeal. She never really said anything that made that she was Captain Obvious about everything.
But she was very nice. I mean, she was very pleasant. She was very non-threatening. She made some very polite observations. But that's okay, Jack, because, then they decided they brought Bruce Jenner back to make some comments. And then kind of like Peter, what's his name? The Rat Pack guy, Peter Lawford. Much like, on day one when Peter Lawford wanders onto the set because he was bored. This time, Robert Stack, pre-Unsolved Mysteries, Robert Stack shows up. And apparently Robert Stack was really into target shooting.
Olympic skeet shooting. I think it was skeet shooting.
And they randomly cut to like this slow motion scene of Robert Stack shooting at a target and then popping out the gun and the spent shell flying past his shoulder in slow motion. And then he's like, makes some pitch about the Olympics and then he's gone.
Yeah.
It was random. And I got to admit that, by this point in the show, Jack, I was watching it again at like 1.5 times speed, kind of like with the Star Wars Christmas special, because, although this was in some ways more entertaining, it was still so damn long.
It was very long. It was very long. I just want to interject this too. This is a quote from the oral history. This is Jimmy J.J. Walker. We, as in CBS, because Good Times was on CBS, we got our asses kicked every year by Penny Marshall and the ABC team.
Penny Marshall was more athletic than she appeared to be.
Absolutely. She was very good. So, and this is, again, Jimmy Walker. She fucking destroyed us every year. So one year, Bo Svensson, who actor, he had been on a number of different shows. He got in contact with everyone and he said, quote, "We are going to win this fucking thing," unquote. We went out and we took rowing lessons, we took swimming lessons, we took basketball lessons, and son of a sea dragon, when the actual game came, it was easier than the training. We destroyed everybody, and I loved it. I know it sounds stupid, but it's one of the highlights of my career, winning the Battle of the Network Stars. Thank God we finally got him. We kicked Penny Marshall's ass, unquote.
And the funny thing is that the whole time Penny Marshall is doing this, and she smoked she smoked the obstacle course, because she was very tall and long-limbed, but she hammed it up. Every single event where she was on camera, she was just hamming it up. She's making faces, she's swinging her gangly arms and all this stuff, and then boom, she goes and she wins. And then, you have other people like, who was one of the women who was like very short, like she couldn't even manage the monkey bars and she fell off.
So Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrienne Barbeau. Oh, poor. And Adrienne Barbeau was a tough broad. Okay, so no disrespect to her at all. She was amazing.
Adrienne Barbeau, and she's going to have to tone down in a hurry, going under those ropes. They're off. Karen Grassley at the far end of the screen. Adrienne Barbeau did get under the ropes. She's managing the tires. Now, the toughest part of all, the handbars. Penalty there against Barbeau, that's for sure. Going up over the wall. On the surface close, but not really because of the penalty. Another penalty. Grassley will win it. Here's Kathy Mason.
Howard, I can certainly identify with Adrienne's problem. We're just not as tall as everybody else. When she missed her stretch here and fell down, there was just no chance of getting back up. She went over the wall fine. She got to the water pit, and she was a little off balance on her jump, and consequently, she fell in.
But then there are like other celebrities who just kind of, Loretta Swit puts in an appearance. Oh, and again, poor Gary Berghoff, man. This guy was just like the butt of the whole
Why Gary
show.
Why were they dogging
You
Gary
were
Berghoff?
thinking, well, first of all, it's because he was a kind of a funny looking and sounding guy, and what else did Gary Berghoff ever really do in his career? I think it would have, and obviously MASH was like the crown jewel in the CBS primetime lineup, but it's like, what, you couldn't get Jamie Farr, you couldn't have gotten Harry Morgan, obviously Alan Alda wouldn't be caught dead doing this stuff, but like there had, the best they could do was Loretta Swit and then Gary Berghoff, and poor Gary Berghoff was like 3 feet tall, can't even barely manages to scale the wall at some point. You just feel sorry for the guy, and it was the most engrossing and yet also kind of like difficult to watch portion of the Battle of the Network Stars.
I'll just add parenthetically that Jamie Farr did appear in subsequent battles. Just throwing that out there.
But did he do it in drag?
That would be awesome. If he did.
That would have been so awesome.
Would have been fantastic.
But I'm glad, I am encouraged to hear that he did at least get his turn at the Battle of the Network Stars. And Gary Berghoff, wherever you are today, no disrespect, man. Radar O'Reilly will always be you, in my humble opinion.
I got nothing but respect for Gary Berghoff.
Yeah, but then, okay.
Okay, so we're going to talk about volleyball.
Yes, I was going to say,
about as entertaining as watching people play volleyball.
It was kind of pointless in a way.
It was as exciting as watching just average people playing volleyball. So I guess, and this is where I have the notes, who won? ABC? I guess ABC won. And for some reason that sets up the final competition, which is between the top 2 networks, the climactic competition, the tug of war between ABC and CBS.
And this truly is the only time where the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat can be visibly seen on the actors' faces, because they were like really, you can fake a lot of things, like the golf thing, like dink, oh, look at that. But you can't fake a tug of war. Like you really got to be pulling. And they were tugging. They were tugging and huffing and puffing and pulling.
It was intense.
Digging into it was very intense. And, the looks on their faces. And Jack, just take it from here.
Yeah, it's a tug of war. What can I tell you? You've got Telly Savalas, I think, was anchoring the CBS team, which I don't know why you would have anybody else.
Well, he's a very, hefty guy, so he'd make a good anchor.
And then you had, who was the ABC captain? Well, not the captain, but who was on the ABC team on the other side on that? Who was anchoring?
Honestly, I don't remember, actually.
Oh, Jesus.
But there came, like, all I remember is that, like, there was the strategy is, like, they had coached them to, like, you have to dig in and then stand up and pull. And, meanwhile, you got the judge who's watching the middle of the rope, and it's, kind of getting closer and closer to one side, and the rope has to cross over this line of demarcation. And everybody at this point, they're like sweating and they're leaning and they're groaning and they're gritting, and the tracksuits are getting all messy, and then they do it. And then it's over. And it's like, wait a minute, what happened?
They wrap it up pretty fast.
They wrap it up very fast.
Very fast.
Like surprisingly fast.
And I guess it's ABC. It was ABC, right? That ended up winning.
ABC wins. Well, I think it was fixed. To be honest with you, because
home cooking, so to speak.
ABC, Wide World of Sports, all that. But it's like, yeah, they win. Okay, bye. And granted, my attention span had kind of completely waned at this point, so I wasn't paying that close of attention.
So let's talk takeaways. kind of feel like it was a fascinating artifact in the sense that it served as this sort of PR mechanism for people who were working in television, giving them this platform where people could get to know them and all that, and to kind of see this really strange iteration of PR bullshit. And Rona Barrett, oh my God, she is. If you think I was being mean about Dr. Joyce Brothers, let's just understand it's to the 10th power when we're talking about Rona Barrett, as far as just brain dead, vapid, useless. My takeaways, I'll just get into them right now. Gabe Kaplan seems like an awesome dude who he later got into a career in professional gambling. I didn't know if you knew that. Professional gambler. And
I did not know that.
I mean, he seems like just a super chill dude. I like Gabe Kaplan. I also like Telly. Yeah, and he's still alive. He's still alive.
Affable.
Shout out to Gabe Kaplan. And
Very
Telly
affable.
Savalas. I mean, what more can you say about the man? He's a badass.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I discovered that I did not know about Telly Savalas, that they did call out on the Battle of the Network Stars, is how Telly Savalas got his start as an actor. He was in broadcast television, working for like the Voice of America or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they hired him to do some sort of propaganda piece, and they're like, "Wow, Telly, you got great delivery. Has anyone ever considered going into television?" And
he's fantastic. I mean,
the rest is history.
He's done so much good. He's done so much good stuff. He's fantastic in The Dirty Dozen. He took a role that Jack Palance, as the Maggot, I think was the guy's name, the sort of the baddie of the dirtiest of the dozen, so to speak. And that was a role that they'd offered to Jack Palance, and of course he didn't want it, and Savalas took it and just fucking killed it. It's fantastic. My third takeaway, Bob Conrad should have considered drinking decaf. Man was way too intense. Way too intense.
Well, and they tried to play it off by the fact that, Robert Conrad's always been kind of a bad boy. He dropped out of school at age 2 and became a stevedore for a while. And then...
as you do.
Ended up... As one does. And then, still finished college and then went to Hollywood and did all this series of television in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And it's like, yes, I've come a long way. And it's been very blah, blah, blah. So my 3 takeaways, similar to you, Telly Savalas, who I remember not so much from Kojak, but, from the Players Club International commercials of the 80s. You listen to Telly. You join Players Club today. And then when Diet Coke first was introduced to the market, and Coca-Cola rolled it out with this big celebrity star-studded musical number. Like at one point, Telly Savalas is there and very prominently drinking Diet Coke. So Cosell. The man was just ubiquitous on TV sports and just as annoying on Battle of the Network Stars as he was on every other thing he did. My father hated the man. I just found him to be even more lecherous than I would have imagined.
Yeah.
And then 3, I was impressed by Linda Carter's body. I gotta say this. As a gay man, I was impressed by her figure. And her swimsuit, her one-piece swimsuit was rather revealing up top. Those were the things that stood out to me.
Now,
we're gonna get some complaints and letters from that comment. I just know it.
One last thing I'll say about this: that Fred Silverman, he was accused throughout his career of being sort of this proponent of jiggle TV, and you'll notice. Early on, we're not 4 minutes into this thing. We got Linda Carter in a bathing suit, and then we're doing the little Rona Barrett vapid puff piece with Linda Carter jumping on a trampoline. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, Battle of Network Stars, the first of 19, pretty impressive. It was America's bicentennial year. Nothing made me prouder as a 4-year-old American than seeing some of my favorite TV celebrities doing obstacle courses and golf courses and running courses. It was an artifact.
It's an artifact.
It was a different era.
I don't think I'm going to watch other ones. Maybe we will.
I don't think I'm going to watch it either.
I don't know if I want to do it. I think after...
I barely got through this
I don't know how you top the Kaplan-Conrad relay race controversy of 1976. I just don't think you can beat it, so I'm not going to do it. I don't think we should. I don't recommend any of you watch it unless...
we've already spent way too much time discussing
We've spent way too much time discussing. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you once again, everyone. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We're going to be back in a couple weeks. I don't know what we're doing, but it'll be brilliant, I'm sure.
It's going to also be shorter than this episode. So for those of you who did stick around, thank you. For those of you who haven't stuck around, well, fuck you. You haven't heard any of this, much less myself, embarrassing myself. But yes, please keep it up with the letters, with the emails, with the telegrams. It was a very slow holiday season. I, for one, am feeling very unloved. I would like to get some more letters in the mail, even if they're addressed to Jack. I don't care. But that's all I got, Jack.
Everybody's sending me socks now. I don't understand why.
It goes with the underwear you were getting earlier.
I guess so. They're not the right size. You guys all don't know my size. Any rate, okay, enough shtick. Say goodnight, Scott.
Good night, Scott.
Thanks for streaming, everybody. We'll be back in a few. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.